see us. But she,
מקום לכם, אפשר לציון ירושלים. So good to see you. So sorry for your loss. And thank you for all you've done all these years.
willkommen in der Kandidatschaft, Reise Wohlstand.
Is that where my son is? It sure is.
my mother lived in Hartford, Connecticut. My parents were born and raised in Hartford, Connecticut. There was an era where people didn't move around so much. I mean, it was a very close, very tight community. My grandmother and grandfather actually lived 1 block away from each other. And my father's parents bought a triplex, 3 stories. Here we have duplex, we have triplex. And when their oldest daughter got married, she moved in on the top floor. When their middle daughter married, she moved in on the bottom floor. Their younger daughter, if you know geography, Hartford, Connecticut, about 25 miles north of Springfield, Massachusetts. Their youngest daughter got married and moved to Springfield, Massachusetts. And people were aghast. Springfield? Your daughter's gonna live in Springfield? It'd be like one of us here, their daughter makes a shidduch and marries someone whose family are international businessmen in Tokyo. Imagine actually community Tokyo? Your daughter in Tokyo? Springfield, Massachusetts, it was like Tokyo. It's like, how could you live away from the family? And that's just the way the community was. And they grew up, it was a close community. You didn't even say it was a Zionist community. It's like everyone was involved in Israel and the Jewish people and giving tzedakah. Is what there is that you have in the immigrant communities. You have sort of a 2-generation bubble. It doesn't matter if you're observing, you're not observing. They all spoke Yiddish, they were all close, the families were close, the cousins all knew each other, they got together all the time. You see it today in the Persian community. You have to go back 100 years to see it in the Eastern European community, so we don't relate to it. But you know, they get together on Friday night, and all the cousins know each other, and they're close, and they go to each other's weddings and parties. So my mother grew up in that environment. And my mother was, even for that environment, was a tremendous doer. Tremendous doer. She just, you know, I said at the Leviathan, you know, it's a mission in Pirkei Avos. When you see something needs to be done, you step in and you do it. And that was my mother. And when the Russian immigration started, so my parents took in a Russian family into their house, and they got them acclimated to Hartford, and you know they worked with the social services. It was a whole thing. It's just something you did. Coming in, something you did. And tzedakah. Tzedakah was just it was expected. It didn't matter how much money you had. My mother said, used to embarrass them. Whenever they bring their friends over, my grandmother always had some good cause and always had some raffle tickets. And kids would say, Mom, what are you talking about? Who doesn't have a dime? Everyone has 10 cents. Your friends, they have 10 cents to go to a movie. They have 10 cents to buy a double ice cream cone. They have 10 cents for a good cause, for a hospital, for whatever she was collecting. And my father's father was a bread man. He had a wagon and a horse, and he went around the neighborhood and delivered bread. And from that, he'd save his money, and every 2 or 3 years, they would bring a family in from Europe. So he'd bring one person in, and he'd bring a second person in. He brought in 7 or 8 people over the years. And, you know, we all know what would happen to those people if he hadn't brought them over. And when the Depression came, a lot of people lost their jobs. I mean, we just had a recession with 10% unemployment. You're talking 33% unemployment. And we have a homelessness problem. At the time of the Depression, you had outside cities, you had encampments of 25, 30, 40,000 people. They were called Hoovervilles, because Hoover was president when when the Depression started, because people had no place to go. And if you heard there were jobs you wanted to move someplace, you go down to the freight yards, and you find a freight train. You know, you should not be in Guatemala on top of the train. You'd ride on top of the train, someone open the doors and ride in the train to get from one place to another. So, my grandfather had customers, couldn't pay anymore, just kept delivering the bread. I mean, you're a customer. You're using the bread to feed yourself and your family. You don't have money to pay for it. Like, that's not so relevant. Someday, hopefully, you get a job, you'll pay for the bread. But that was the environment that she grew up in.